Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Kara, and if you are just joining us, you are in the 7th video in our series on the Obsidian Tasks community plugin. Now, before I tell you what today's video is about, you might be going, wait, how did I get in the middle of this big long series? Well, never worry. If you are watching this on YouTube, right up above me on the video screen, you will see a little card that will take you back to the very first video in this series, which feels like forever ago. And no matter where you're watching the video, there will be text below this video, either in the description on YouTube or in an article or something that accompanies this video if you're in my community or on Medium, and you will find links to all of the other videos in this series. Hey, while you're checking that out, be sure to check out the opportunity if you're on YouTube to subscribe. That way you get a notification anytime I drop a video in, and check out links to things like my community or my newsletter and sign up for those so you can get even more goodness anytime I publish. So let's get back to today's video. What are we talking about? We are finally finishing up our little mini series inside of a series on the anatomy of a task. We have been going through each and every piece of what you can add to a task, like its dates, its descriptions, whether or not you want to add a global filter, whether or not you're going to have it recur. All of these things are things that you can add to a task. And today we're going to look at that very last one, which is what Obsidian calls dependencies. You can essentially use Obsidian to build a really light project management system. Now, the first time that I encountered project management in my own life was when I was the facilities manager for a small community college, and we were building 2 different buildings. It was a really exciting project, and I got to see big Gantt charts and talk about milestones and the things that were blocking them and all of the dependencies and all of those sorts of things. And I got really fascinated and really interested with that level of really complex project management. Now, on a day-to-day basis, I don't use the functionality that I'm going to demonstrate today. I'm going to be completely transparent about that. But that doesn't mean that it's not important and not valid. Because if it helps you and the way your brain works, this can be a really helpful addition to the Obsidian Task Community plugin to help you sort of figure out, okay, what has to be done versus what could I be working on that maybe isn't as important. If you're one of those people who's like, nope, I can only see the one thing that I must do, I can't be bothered with all of these little extra details right now, this could be a feature that is really beneficial to you. So I've used the word dependency a couple of times, but let's dig in a little bit more to what that word means. In task management, there are tasks that depend on other tasks being done before we can do them. So I'm going to use a really simple example like my weekly grocery shopping. So my grocery shopping process typically looks like make a meal plan, make a grocery list, go get the groceries, put the groceries away. So those 4 things happen in that sequence every single time. And they each depend on each other. I can't make the grocery list until I know what we're going to eat off the meal plan. I can't go to the store and get the groceries until I've made the grocery list. Okay, in reality I can, and I have, but I end up spending too much, and then we end up wasting food. Nobody wants that. So we're here in our demo vault, and I have set up a couple of projects that we're going to use for this demo. And we're going to start with this one for a fictional idea of me moving from Indiana to Florida. So I have added some tasks, and I've just added some headings. So I've got, looks like 4 headings here, and then we've got one where our queries are. We'll talk about those in a minute. And this first one has tasks for selling my current house, and then buying a new house, preparing to move, and then moving and settling into the new house. So I just brainstormed these, and I did a couple of things. I created those headers just to help me organize them on the page. Those headers are not necessary. So you don't actually need the sell my current house, buy a new house. They play no function in the task management system. This is really just a personal preference for me and how I want to see things. Second, I've actually ordered these tasks kind of in the order that I think they would be done in. This is helpful when we go to set dependencies because the tasks will show up to you when you're choosing your dependencies in the order that they're listed here. So it can be helpful to spend a little bit of time sort of figuring out those blocks. It's completely not necessary. But I realize it's a good opportunity to show you one of my favorite functions of Obsidian that I haven't actually shown you, and I use it all the time with task management. And that is the idea that you can move lines up and down in Obsidian. So if I use my command palette, Command P here, and I type for move, and I get these two options to move line up or move line down. I'm going to select this move line down. And what that just did is moved interview realtors down a line. Now, that's not the order I want them in, so I actually want to move this line back up again, and now interview realtors is on the top. I use that functionality so often in my main vault that I actually have those set up as a hotkey. So let me remind you how to do that. If we come over here to our settings and we go to hotkeys and I search for move line, there they are. I have set this move line down is command arrow down, and move line up for me is command arrow up. And I was thinking as I was going through the series, I'm like, I can't believe that I have not demonstrated that because I use that all the time in my vault. So I definitely wanted to show you that functionality. So let's take a look at the ways that we can create those links between tasks or set up those dependencies between tasks. Just like we've done with everything else that we can add to the tasks, we can do it in two ways, either using the inline tasks selector or using the create edit task modal. I'm going to start just with the tasks selector because I think this is really how a lot of people like discover this functionality, and then they might dig into it a little bit more. So let's go ahead and create that dependency using the task selector. So I'm going to start to type depends on, and that's going to bring up this option for depends on ID. And if I hit that, notice that it's bringing up a list of the tasks that are on this page. And so selecting a realtor cannot be done until after I interview realtors. So it depends on that task. And notice what just happened. Obsidian just added this little emoji to say that this task is being blocked. That's what the red with the dash is. It's being blocked by this task ID 5GXBTT. Now, the IDs, I'm letting Obsidian assign those. Obsidian has some rules around task dependency IDs. I will put a link to those in the description wherever you're reading them. And if you are reading the article that accompanies this video, then you'll find a whole little sort of diatribe about IDs and whether you want to assign your own and all that. I'm only going to let Obsidian assign them for the purposes of this video. It just works better for me. But you can assign your own is the short version if you want to do that. So what this means now is I can't do selecting a realtor until after I've interviewed realtors. Okay, so that's what that means. Now let's look at the other way that I can set up a dependency, and that is using the create edit task modal. And it actually gives me a couple of additional options that I don't get when I'm using that inline task selector. So let's come down here to this one to confirm real estate listing details. So I'm going to do Command T to open up my tasks community plugin. I have that set as a hotkey. If you don't, you'd have to use your command palette to open up the task community plugin. And right down here, we have this section that says before this and after this. So in this box, I can select any tasks that have to be done before this one. And then in this box, I can select any tasks that need to be done after this one. So the first thing that the task modal gives us that the inline task creator doesn't is the ability to set both options really easily right in one view. I can set both from the inline task selector. I'll show you how to do the after in a minute, but it's just way easier to do it this way. So before this one, I need to have photos taken of the house. I can't confirm the listing until the photos get done. And then after this one, I need to promote my real estate listing to family and friends because often who you know depends or helps you get your house sold. So when I hit apply on that, notice all of these little things happen. So I can see that this is blocking this, And this is now blocking this. So I've got all of these nice little options here, which are really helpful if I want to manage a task management system for myself. Now, I'm going to jump down to these queries so that you can start to see what's happened here. So with Obsidian tasks, we have a couple of options for blocking. And this one is one that I've written. We're just looking in this file. So I'm just looking at this specific file. I'm looking for not done, and I'm looking for things that are blocking. And I'm just having it with short mode since this is in this same task engine or in this same page. I don't need all the extra details. So when I look at that, I can see that now these three tasks are blocking other tasks from getting done. So if you're thinking about that from a task management perspective, those are the things I have to work on first before I work on anything else. Because if they're blocking other stuff from getting done, I'm not able to get things done until I make these happen. I also have a second option, which is to say, hey, what in this can I work on? What isn't being blocked by something else? And so right now, it's pretty much almost every task in this list because I haven't set up a lot of dependencies. We'll look at another one here in a minute where this is very, very different. If I come in here, what's giving me this is that I have, again, I'm just looking in this file and I'm asking, hey, what is not blocked within this list? So again, what this is showing you, because when I look at all of these tasks, I have a lot of tasks that don't have any ID on them. They don't have any of those blocking options on them. You can use this blocking really selectively within your task management system and only use it in a few places, but then it will show you, hey, these are the things that are blocking other tasks. These are the things that I need to focus my attention on because I can't do other things until I've done these. I hope that makes sense, but I'm going to show you a couple of other examples on this page, and I'm going to show you another project that I've mocked up where basically everything is blocked by one task, and until I work on that task, I can't do anything else. But before we do that, let's look at just a couple of other options of what you can do with the task management system. So I mentioned that we can actually set those before and after tasks using the inline query engine. Or if you want to go back to the task management system, I can actually, or to the create edit task modal, I can actually set both of these using the tasks inline option. So if I am going to talk about this, I can't really handle any issues arising from the inspection until I work with the buyers to schedule the inspection on my house. So I'm going to give this an ID because I'm like, well, this has to be done first. So I can actually give this an ID. And when I do, I get this option to generate a unique ID. As I mentioned, you can assign your own, but I'm just going to have it generate a unique ID. And then I can come down here and I can say that this depends on, and it now depends on the work with buyers to schedule inspection. Okay, so you have both ways to create those depending on how you want to do that. I can also have multiple depends on. So for instance, this one is depending on this task right here, but I also can't really handle any issues arising from the inspection until I evaluate offers. So let's add another one here. So I'm going to generate an ID, and this one is being blocked also by evaluating offers. So I can add multiple things that are blocking a task until I get it done if you want to do that as well. And you can also do that from the create edit task modal. So I can say, well, I can't really close on my current house until I interview realtors and at least evaluate offers. Like those are the two things that have to be done before that. And when I do that, it will also add both of those. And notice it's just separating them by a comma. So that's the lexicon it's using for it, or the vocabulary that it's using for it. Okay, and as we've done that, as we scroll down here to our queries have automatically updated down here to show that. But it's not maybe as clear as I would like it to be on this. So let's go over to a different project and let me show you the real power that you can get from that blocking function. So I have a project here that I've created to write and promote my great book. And this is something I would love to do someday, but for right now, it's really just a dream in a girl's heart. But I have created the project that I want to do for it. And as we scroll through this project, I've sort of set it up the same way as I had that mover by house. I've got, some different sections that are there just to organize things. I've roughly put things into the order that I think they need to be in. But as you notice, like every single thing in this project has IDs and blocks on it. So I've really thought through the project management of this to see what to do. And when I come down here to see, hey, what isn't blocked? You got to write the book before you do any of that other stuff, silly. So let's start by mind mapping the book topic. So I can actually see that this is really the only thing I can work on right now because everything else is blocked. Now, does that mean that this mind map the book topic is actually specifically blocking everything else? No. What it means is if I come up here to this mind map the book topic, you can see it's really actually only blocking this one task. But then this task is blocking this task, and this task is blocking this task. And so I've essentially created a project management system in which I can only do one thing at a time. I cannot do anything else until I've done the task before it. If you've ever used OmniFocus, this is the theory behind OmniFocus's differentiation of parallel versus serial projects. A parallel project, you can do anything out of the project at any time. A serial project, you got to do the first task and then the second task and then the third task. And that's really what I've set up here is a serial project. But I've used it then to set up this system so that I can only work on one task at a time. If you're a big follower of David Allen's Getting Things Done, this could be a method to do next action thinking so that your next action is the only thing that is unblocked. I think there are better ways to do that, and we'll talk through those when we talk in our next video about building your task management system. Or there are other ways to do it, not better. Ways that work differently for my brain. I want to be careful not to assign value to these because I'm going to show you what works for me and try to also show you alternatives that might work for you. It's not better just because I do it. I don't know why I needed that little bit of therapy in the middle of this video, but we did. So I can also see what other things are blocking these tasks. So I can use both of these here, both of these same queries. These are the same queries we used on the other page to see sort of the general outline of here are the top level things that I need to work on. That's another thing that this can be used for is to show you all of those top level things. All right, so again, I hope that this was a helpful look at the last part of our anatomy of a task. And you're starting to think about what you want your task management system to look like, because that is where we're going to devote our attention in our next video, finally on building the task management system that works for you and your brain. I will see you then.